what he has done. You said you wanted to move forward. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But the anger that is hitting you really hard from sometimes nowhere comes because he's had an affair. You know, that red hot, full-bodied, frighten the hell out of you anger that comes at all sorts of times of the day and night where you don't even recognize yourself. You may never have ever felt anger like this before in your life, and it's really normal given the fact that you are grieving what you believed was a really healthy, happy relationship. You know, anger makes sense. Anger is a really important emotion, and when somebody's had an affair, we should feel angry, you know, because the person we love the most in the world has crossed a serious line. They've broken trust with us. They've taken away a sense of safety from us. And so the anger that we feel is actually really normal. It's our body's way of saying, hey, that's not okay with me. I don't appreciate what you've done. It isn't an overreaction. It's a reaction to betrayal. And underneath the anger, of course, because anger is a secondary emotion, underneath the anger is all of the other pain, you know, the shock, the loss, the grief, the hurt, the humiliation. You know, anger is just the first part of all of those feelings. So you may be swinging between completely being so angry you can't stand it to being in a state of collapse where you're like, oh gosh, I hope we can get through this. I hope our relationship can survive. It isn't a sign that you're losing your mind, although at times it probably feels like that. It's just a sign that what's happened to your relationship really matters and that you can't pretend your way through it because it is really significant and really serious. So moving between the anger and the fear is common once you discover the affair. Thoughts like, you know, how could they do this to me? What is going to happen now? Are flying around inside your head. And it's part of the process, unfortunately. It's why I recommend so often that people really need to get professional help when they're going through this, because it's something like nothing you've ever experienced before. Our brains actually feel like the affair information is like a physical injury to us. Our brains process it like a physical injury, the loss of trust in the relationship, what you believed about the other person, but also what you believed about yourself, what you believed about the relationship. And your mind and body are trying to process and work through what's happening in this really, really painful time. So you're angry for a couple of reasons. You're angry because you actually meant what you said to him when you committed. You haven't broken that trust. You believed that he would honor what he said, and he hasn't. And you built a life together based on those promises that he has broken. You kept on showing up, and clearly he was not showing up. At least he wasn't showing up 100% for you. So your nervous system is trying to register all of that, and it treats it as a threat because it is a threat. It's a threat to the relationship, to the family, and to you. The sensations of this are sometimes they can overwhelm us. They can knock us off guard. You know, you might get a burning in your chest, your jaw's tight, you know, heat rises up inside of you, and you know you don't even know how to begin to explain it to other people at all, and not to yourself. Your body's trying its best to process the information and protect you. So the purpose of anger is to help you know that actually you do matter, the relationship matters, that what this person has done is really unforgivable and unacceptable, and the lies are too much, and that you're not actually overreacting to anything. You're reacting really appropriately to something that really should never have happened. If your partner was not happy, you should have talked about it. There are parts of us, different parts of us that deal with different things. You know, think of the parts of you like being a mum, being a sister, being a friend, being a colleague, being a woman, being a middle-aged woman. Like there are different parts of who we are. And when we go through these really traumatic experiences, different parts do different things. Different triggers set off different parts. So there might be a part of us that wants to lash out and is furious and angry, while another part of us is just stuck in our brain, churning it over. What happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? Where did it happen? How did I not know? There can be parts of us that kind of spiral, you know, not even knowing where to begin. And all of these parts are just trying really hard to work things out. But when there are so many competing parts, life gets a bit messy. overarching all of that, there is a sense of, you don't get to do this to me. This is not okay. How can I forgive you? How can we move forward? I can't just let this slide. And so there's all this competing information going on inside of us. Really challenging, really difficult, really overwhelming feelings. It can feel like you're losing your mind. It can feel like you don't know how to move forward. And that at any given moment, you might be hanging on to him, desperately wanting to keep him. And the next, being so angry, you just want to smash things around you. What's happened is a lot to take in. It's a kind of really extreme situation that your mind is trying to process. It takes a lot to work through it. And it's quite scary, if I'm honest. Underneath all of the anger is the fear, and underneath that is all of the sadness and the grief that how could this be happening to us? And so all of the feelings are really big. They just are really, really big. And I think it's really important in those moments to remind yourself, you know what? This is normal. What I'm feeling is normal for a really abnormal situation that we are going through, for a really challenging, painful situation that we are going through. And then you've got to kind of honor that. You know, you've got to remind yourself, what am I going to do with all of these feelings that seem out of control? And the way to do that is to honor all of them and process all of them, which is hard. You know, that's not going to be an easy thing to do. You know, in our culture, women are often taught that expressing anger is ugly, or, you know, it's being too much or being hysterical, and that good women are calm and they're kind of measured and they're very forgiving. And that's bullshit. I'm just going to say that. Because when we're angry, the anger comes from a space of saying, that isn't okay with me. And we can't just swallow down what's happened or make excuses for what's happened. But we also need to remind ourselves, hey, I'm not being too sensitive. I'm not overreacting, and being kind to ourselves and reminding ourselves that, hey, I'm doing the best I can right now. Something absolutely catastrophic has happened in my life. And so if other people expect you to be polite, you may want to remind them that actually something awful happened and this anger is appropriate and it's okay. You may not want to share that. You may just want to remind yourself of that it's okay for you to feel this way. There's nothing wrong with you. You're in a survival mode right now, trying to just work through this stuff. It's okay to be scared. It doesn't mean that you can't cope and you can't move forward. It's okay to say, I'm not going to keep the peace. I'm just not going to, because I'm too wounded. It's okay for you to say out loud, you know, you don't get to hurt me, and just walk away from all of this untouched by the emotions that you've invoked in me. Anger is a compass. It points us to what matters to us. It reveals the ways that we feel like we've been violated. It says that you crossed a line and you can't do that ever again. Anger isn't the opposite of healing. It's kind of the start of healing. We have to feel the anger to kind of start to deal with what's happened. You know, many women will kind of shape shift throughout their lives for the sake of connection, to stay in relationships with our partners, with our parents, with our children, because we want the connection. It's important to us and we want the connection. So we change ourselves to fit the moment. But anger is a moment where we're returning to ourselves, when we say, actually, you know what? No. And being angry doesn't mean that we're losing control. It means that we are voicing the pain. It means that we're seeing things more clearly, and we want people to know how much we are hurting. I really recommend that you do not suppress your anger. Deal with it in appropriate ways for sure, but don't push it down and try to not experience it. Try and embrace it and allow it to happen. Again, in healthy ways, in processing in really healthy ways. So let it move through your body, you know. Maybe you go and you go for a walk. Maybe you shake your body. Maybe you punch a pillow or go for a swim or run or march on the spot or scream into a pillow. But let some of that energy out of your body. You know, say maybe what you couldn't say out loud. Write a letter that you're not going to send. Record a message in your own voice that you're not going to send. But say the words out loud. Say them out loud, whether in a written format or recorded on your telephone. And give what you're feeling a name. You know, it's not just anger. But what made you angry, what he did, what he didn't do, get specific about what is going on with you. It's not just the anger, it's all of the other things that go with it. You need to set some boundaries, even if they're just on paper. From this point forward, I will not, and it can be anything. I will not accept a telephone having a passcode on it. I will not allow him to tell me that it's not my business what's going on. I will not let him lock me out of his social media accounts. I will not just accept when he says he's running late. He's going to have to talk to me about it. And then you want to stand by those boundaries that you've set. Please don't rush into doing any of this. You don't need to get over this or over the anger quickly to begin the healing process. You just need to stay and feel it and process it and get comfortable with it. Rage isn't a storm that we can kind of wait out. It's a messenger. It's telling us that something happened here and that we need to repair it and to begin the process of doing that and probably begin that process by ourselves. So today we looked at rage and the part that rage and anger plays in the discovery of an affair. And the rage is not irrational, it is really normal. It is about having serious boundaries crossed in our lives and feeling really wounded deeply in our hearts. When we look underneath the anger, remembering that there are other feelings that are just as important, the fear and the grief and the loss that are all under there. And the story then is, I matter. What you did hurt me, and this has got to change. In the next chapter of After the Affair, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of women tell me about, which is, why did he do this? Why did he choose her? Why did he choose now? Why did he lie to me? I'm going to talk a lot about, why you need or why you feel you need to have the answers to those questions. Sometimes why it can help and sometimes where it can trap you. And what to focus on when the truth still doesn't make sense to you. That when you find out all the whys, but it doesn't help. Because you don't need his reasons to start to repair your life. You don't need to have all of the answers to begin the process of really taking good care of yourself. If you are struggling and you are finding life really hard, you will find a free download that goes with this workshop. You will also find a paid booklet if you would like to grab with that. It's Surviving an Affair. It has a lot of really great suggestions of things you can do to help you get through this process. If you are feeling you need some extra support, I do offer one-on-one sessions, and you can either comment down below or send me a message, and I try and answer all of those, and I can provide you with a link for that. If you are feeling like you're stuck in this on your own, I do run live chats every single Thursday on my YouTube channel. You're more than welcome to come and join. You can sit and just listen if you prefer to do that. There are other women who are going through similar situations that you are. I will put all of the links to all the information I've just talked about down in the description of this video. I hope that you will come and join me next time when we talk about, the other woman. And I would love for you to join me in that. I've put all of these videos in a playlist, and the link will be on the screen here, so you can just click that to get to the next video or wait, and the next video will begin to run. Do subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. It tells you every time a new video is uploaded, and I will see you next time. Take good care.